All right, guys, so we got to talk about MSNBC's number 2 race hustler behind Joy Reid, Miss Tiffany D. Cross, who has self-proclaimed herself to be a sports expert, as she has chimed in on this conversation about Tua Tagovailoa, the Miami Dolphins quarterback that created controversy after sustaining a concussion. I believe it was a few weeks ago in a game, and then he was allowed to play in a subsequent game in which it seems like he got concussed again. Okay, he was stumbling on the field, and that created a whole lot of controversy about the NFL's concussion protocol, right? And how players are being handled and why they're allowed to go back into the game when it appears that they are concussed or that they're suffering from neurological issues. So Tiffany Cross decided to chime in on this debate, and of course she could not leave race out of it, as she basically makes the claim that the NFL's treatment of Tua Tagovailoa is proof that the NFL, in their white ownership, does not care about black players and their well-being. Take a look.
Joining me now is the man himself, Michael Smith. He's host and commentator for NBC Sports and Peacock. He's also a news analyst for Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime Video, which I watch, as he knows, every Thursday, being a fellow sports expert myself. Mike, I couldn't wait to get you on the show today. And
I'm here to get my insight from you so that I can pass it on to my own. That's why I'm here. Yes.
Well, I will defer just this time. I will defer to your expertise because you are fresh off a latest trip. You're on the road all the time now covering the NFL, which I love to see. But I have to tell you, Mike, when I saw that the hit on Thursday from the Colts player, from Hines, and when I saw the video of the player previous, I thought about you because this is a ridiculous occurrence in the NFL. So I have two questions/issues here. One, the fact that these concussions even occur. Like, that seems like it should be hazardous and something has to be done about that. And two, what the league is doing about it, because the fact that a doctor saw this man, what we all saw, and said, yes, he's cleared to play in the next game. Your thoughts?
Well, I'll take the second part first. The Players Association, the union's perspective aligns with yours, that there's no way that Tua Tagovailoa should have been re-entered into that game. He should not have been allowed to go back in that game, no matter how many times he said himself it was his back. Players have to oftentimes be protected from themselves. And if he showed a case of gross motor instability the way he did, the way he was stumbling against the Bills, full stop, you're out of the game. What the union wants to do is remove from the current concussion protocol the language that allows a team of spotters and unaffiliated, neurotrauma consultants and team trainers to determine whether or not that gross motor instability was in fact neurologically caused. The union wants to remove that gray area out and say, if somebody's stumbling like that, like you saw Nyheim Hines this past Thursday stumbling, you're out of the game. And that's what happened on Thursday. He was out of the game, full stop. Well, the NFL is saying, well, let's see if there's a better way of doing this, because the process is very much working. The protocols are working. And the reason the league is not so cut and dry for the league is if they change the protocol, it comes with an admission that Tua Tagovailoa was mishandled. So there's the politics behind the scenes. The players' union's like, that was an error in judgment, should have never happened. It should never happen again. The concussion protocol should be the floor and not the ceiling for player care. Players should be treated like patients and not players, whereas the league is like, hey, this is working fine. He said it was his back. The protocols were followed. We did nothing wrong. So there's some politics and some tension behind the scenes here.
Yeah, and just for the folks outside of us who don't follow the sport as closely as you and I do, of course, I gotta say, Mike, the optics just look bad. To see all these black men crashing into each other with a bunch of white owners, white coaches, and the complete disregard of black bodies and black life. I mean, it just represents a larger issue, and I think that's the problem. And with the NFL ratings through the roof, you know, I just wonder what incentive do they have to just be better? I mean, you saw the whole issue with black coaches, et cetera. So, but look, we're going to run out of time because I want to get your opinion on something else. I know the NFL is your jam. Go ahead.
What you said, that's all I want to say. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, brother. All right.
Yeah, so this is embarrassing, right? For multiple reasons. Tiffany Cross, who proclaims to be an expert, she's a sports expert, right? She claims she knows so much. However, what she doesn't know is that Tua Tagovailoa is not black. He's not black. He's actually Samoan, which is not black. However, she's using him because he looks black as an example to push her racial narrative, right? A narrative that the NFL does not care about so-called black people based off the fact that, I don't know, they have white owners and white coaches, right? So she's trying to paint the story of, well, these racist white owners and white coaches have these black players going out here and banging up their bodies, and they don't really want to take care of them. They don't really care about them. And she's using Tua as an example to prove her point. She says this is a symptom of a larger issue, aka racism in the NFL, racism towards black players. But it's like, well, one, Tua is not black, right? First and foremost, you should know that because you claim you're an expert, right? But we all know you're not really an expert. You're just saying that, okay? And two, there are white players in the NFL as well too, right? There are plenty of white players, and they get concussions too, right? They get treated the same exact way that the black players do in regards to the concussion protocol itself. Because I'm pretty sure if Tom Brady, appears to be concussed and he says, look, I'm not concussed, I'm going to play, I want to play, you don't think they're going to let him back into the game? Of course they're going to let him back into the game, right? Of course they're going to let him. Again, if Tua was white, there's no doubt in my mind they would have given him the exact same treatment. I don't think race played a factor into how they treated Tua during that interaction. Again, he's not even black. He's Samoan. But for whatever reason, that just slips Tiffany Cross's mind. That it doesn't matter that white players are suffering from the same thing. Right? No. It's just the NFL doesn't care about black people. Okay? That's why they have the concussion protocols that they do. Right? That this is why they let the players, go back in a game, or this is why, they're not more conservative about it. Because it's racism. It's racism. Again, these people cannot have any type of real discussion about anything without incorporating race. This is what intellectually lazy people do. Intellectually lazy people analyze things through the lens of race because it's easy to say, well, this is happening because of, the NFL being racist. It's the same exact thing they did when basically the NFL used a controversial practice of race norming, which in this case right here specifically, we're talking about NFL, it is the assumption that black players had a lower cognitive function. And that made it harder to prove that these players actually are suffering from mental deficiencies or, cognitive issues due to their playing careers. Okay, because again, it was assumed that, hey, these people, right, because of their race, they had lower cognitive function anyways, right? They're not suffering just because of their playing careers. The NFL benefited from this because that allowed them to then fight back against lawsuits from these players that, alleged damages due to their playing careers to say, hey, you know what? Nope. You haven't sufficiently proved that you suffered, significant cognitive damage because of your playing career. Now, the NFL did that as a way to save money, as a way to avoid paying out large sums of money to players that sued over these concussions, right? They did it for money. They did it for a profit. They didn't do it because the players are black and they're like, oh, we just want to pay you less because you're black. No, that's not why they did it. They did it because that was a way for them to basically say, hey, look, your playing career didn't cause you as much damage as you're saying, right? That is what they did it for, okay? But see, what really gets me here is that people got outraged about this and said, hey, this is proof that the NFL is racist, okay? However, these same people that are outraged about the NFL treating black people as if they're dumber to save money, they support other race norming activities like affirmative action, which is race norming, or it has a race norming element to it because a part of affirmative action is the assumption that black people are dumber, right? That black people can't perform as well as whites and Asians and others simply based off their skin color. So they make race-based adjustments to the admissions process to allow black people an easier time to get into these universities. That is race norming. By definition, it is race norming. However, again, the woke revolutionaries don't care about that type of race norming. That is social justice. When the NFL uses race norming to save money for profit, oh, that's racism. Now, again, I'm not trying to defend the NFL in the sense that I think that practice was right. I don't think it was right, okay? Especially considering the mountains of evidence that have come out to suggest that, yes, these players are definitely suffering from CTE due to their playing careers in the league. In my opinion, that to me has more to do with NFL trying to save money than it does with the evil, racist, white NFL owners just trying to, I don't know, stick it to the black man, right? Or to be racist towards black players, right? I think that corporations will use controversial practices like that. They will find ways to save money through whatever means that they can, even if it's something as controversial as this, right? As using race norming to save money, to basically prove that, hey, you didn't suffer as much as you claim that you are. I mean, it is what it is. But that being said, I mean, my opinion on the whole concussion thing is this. First and foremost, Tua is not being treated any differently than any white person would be treated in regards to the concussion protocol itself, okay? White players suffer from concussions, right? And the NFL's policy when it comes to their concussion protocols and how players are treated applies equally to white and black players, right? And also Latino players, all the other players in the league, right, who suffer from this. All of them basically suffer from this. But that being said, I don't necessarily like this slippery slope of, well, if a player is stumbling after what, you know, appears to be a big hit, that they should just automatically be taken out of the game. Because a player can stumble for various reasons that don't have anything to do with neurological issues, right? For example, it can be an ankle. In Tua's case, he said it was his back, right? I mean, there's reasons why players, you know, could stumble or could appear to be, you know, uneasy or whatever. That doesn't necessarily have to do with the fact that, oh, well, they're concussed. Okay, I think the slippery slope of just taking them out, if there appears to be any type of neurological, you know, issues and saying, look, you can't play the next game or whatever, I think that's a slippery slope that, again, when you get into the playoffs or you get into the Super Bowl, are you going to take Tom Brady out because he took a big hit and he's stumbling and he gets up, he said, look, it's not my head, it's my back, it's my ankles. Are you going to take him out? I'm pretty sure Tom Brady would be pissed if you forced him not to play, which will open up his own can of worms if so happened the Bucks lose the Super Bowl or whatever because Tom Brady was taken out of the game. So, I mean, I'm just saying, look, man, the libertarian in me says that, you know, even though these players are suffering, they did sign up for a gladiator sport, and they are being paid millions of dollars to play this gladiator sport, in which they are aware that this is what could happen to them. Okay, if they are suffering from neurological issues and they know it, it is up to them to say so. If they don't say so and they put themselves back in the game, they have to take responsibility for that. I mean, that is basically my opinion on it. I don't think that you should be forcing them out of the game, because I know that, you know, if that's a policy that they're going to apply equally across the board, which means they're applying it in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, again, you know, we could be talking about a whole different conversation. We're talking about the outcome of a very important game being affected by forcing these players out of the game just because they took a big hit and they got up and, you know, they were, you know, stumbling or whatever. So that's my opinion on that. But I don't think that race really is an explanation for how the NFL is being treated in regards to the concussion protocol. I'm not sure if that's appropriate to insert into this conversation here. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.